Hello, my name is Michelle Bain, and I am lead legal counsel at Be Social Justice Incorporated. And this presentation is all about how to deal with authority figures and win. I am a lawyer and a social justice advocate. I'm also the Chief Executive Officer and General Counsel to a nonprofit organization called Youth Empowering Youth. And the reason I founded this organization was specifically to teach the law to young people and their adult supporters who had been negatively impacted by the child welfare system across Ontario. I am so excited to teach this workshop to you today because it is so important that you learn how to deal with authority figures in your life and win the day. Now, this doesn't mean that every single time you're dealing with an authority figure that it's a win-lose zero-sum game. It doesn't mean that. However, because I'm also working so closely with young people whose lives have been negatively impacted, and often on a day-to-day basis, they are dealing with microaggressions and macroaggressions from people in positions of authority, whether it's intentional harm or willful blindness, it depends on the circumstance, but either way, they are often dealing with authority figures who they feel like they have to either get around or go through them. But how do you address an authority figure when you need to win the day? So I'm going to give you a few steps. My suggestion at this point is grab a pen, grab a piece of paper or your notebook or your, cell phone, whatever it is you use, and start taking some notes because this is going to be really helpful. First thing I want to talk to you about is, yes, surprisingly enough, empathy. Not to be confused with sympathy. But what I want you to do as you're encountering an authority figure and you're finding yourself not being heard, or you see a conflict or you're in the midst of a conflict, either you see the conflict coming or it's already happening, or even if it's already happened and you want to address a past harm. It's often that people find the most, poignant things to say after the fact. So don't feel bad if you didn't deal with it the first time the way you wished you could have. You could always go back and deal with it again. But you're going to want to empathize with the person you're dealing with and try to see the situation from their perspective. This will make you, yes, you, appear more rational, more mindful, and it will make you a more successful negotiator. That's really important. That's really where you want to win, is in the being the more successful negotiator. And negotiation does not always mean you get everything on your demand list. Negotiation means my top end ask is this, I'm willing, but my backup asks are, my top end ask is A, but I'm willing to settle for B, C, D, E, or F. And here's how I'm going to lay that out. So make sure you are, to be a successful negotiator, you're going to want to see where the other side is coming from and what they want to get out of it, particularly when you're dealing with authority figures. The next thing I want to talk about is check your intent. Why are you engaging with this authority figure? Is it vengeance? Is it an attack or a counterattack because you feel like you were attacked? Do you just want a victory at some point from someone in some conflict? I just want to win. Do you want to humiliate someone else? Perhaps somebody humiliated you or someone close to you. I want you to really check your intent because the mindfulness and the way your brain is wired going into this situation, we won't even call it a conflict yet. Well, as you go into the situation, you want to be really clear about what resolution you want at the end of the day so that you stay result oriented and focused. You want to win the war, not just the little battles. So think about checking your intent. Do you just want vengeance? Do you want to attack somebody? Are you out to humiliate someone? What's your motivation here? Because your motivation really matters. This is one of my favorite points in this entire presentation and something I try to take stock of every single time I have a conflict I'm dealing with, a difficult conversation, or I'm in an all-out court battle. Set the agenda. So point one, to determine the outcome that you want, you've got to control the narrative to better dictate the terms you want to see. Therefore, you must set the agenda for the dialogue itself. Conflict in and of itself. We're going to go back to the previous slide. Again, vengeance, attack, victory, or to humiliate. Conflict in and of itself is not always a great start for getting a win. Unless your version of winning is, I just wanted to be in a fight with you and just make you miserable. That's different. But if you really need to win the day here, you want to create an agenda that gets you there. And you want to use your agenda as the roadmap that's going to guide you along. Think of it as your GPS system telling you to turn right, turn left, stop, or make a U-turn because we've gone too far. So number one, you're going to want to make sure that you set the agenda to determine the outcome. You're going to want to be able to control the narrative to better dictate your terms. So you've got to set the agenda. The second thing you want to think about is that conflict just for the sake of conflict doesn't always necessarily result in a positive win for you unless your end goal was just to be in conflict. So what end result do you desire? And then you need to create an agenda that gets you there and use it as your roadmap. This is really nice and simple. Create a 3 to 5 bullet point list of what you have to say. Make your case and then stop talking. Silence is golden. This one's challenging. Remove all emotion and drama from the situation. Remember, you can only control yourself, so you must maintain self-control. Remember, at the end of the day, you don't just want to be in the conflict. You want to win the day. You want to win the argument. You want to get the result you came into this arena to get in the first place. Be aware of your triggers. Often people are just going to either land on them again, either on purpose or unintentionally. So try your best to remove all emotion and drama from the situation. Maintain self-control. Be direct with people. Don't beat around the bush. Well, what does beat around the bush mean? Don't hem and haw and go all down the road of different issues and get lost on a tangent and, oh, I forgot what I was going to say because I'm really emotional and upset. Get your bullet points together. Say what you have to say. Make your case. Stop talking. But remember, when you're being direct, it is critically important that you state clearly how you feel. Now, when I say not to let your emotions supersede logic or get away from you, it doesn't mean that you have to completely divorce yourself from the fact that your feelings are in here. Your feelings really matter. I want you to think carefully and to choose your words wisely. The second bullet point under be direct, try not to be defensive. Try not to get belligerent. As a criminal defense lawyer, I'll admit I struggle with this one. I can get defensive. I can even get belligerent. I can get shrill, and you have to learn yourself and to be self-aware. Now, there's another component in this video series about self-awareness. So if you haven't watched that yet, I want you to pause this video. It's about 5 or 10 minutes. I want you to just take the brief walk through the self-awareness. And also there's another video on self-advocacy. I want you to think through trying not to be defensive. That's a lot to unpack, okay? But be direct with people, choose your words carefully, and try not to be too defensive. Remember, you have power. You have to use it. And when you have power, you have to be strategic about how you use that power and when and in what context. All of this is so important. I don't know who you are or where you are or where this is, how this is resonating with you or why you needed to hear this message today, but I need you to remember yourself and to remember that you, the individual, you have power, and it is up to you to use it. And if you don't, the person you're up against or the people you're up against may use it against you. And if you give away your power, if you shy away from your power, if you negatively self-talk yourself out of doing what is needed, then you have given up your power. So remember that you all, no matter who you are or where this message finds you, you have power. And you've got to learn what it is so you know how to use it. We all deserve dignity and fairness. It doesn't mean you're going to get it. That's probably why you're here. You're like, yeah, I wanted someone to respect my dignity. I thought the situation was going to end fairly, and neither of those things happened. Well, you have a voice. And just like your power, you can't be afraid to use it. So find your voice, even if your voice is shaky, even if it's wavering, even if it's a whisper. Don't be afraid to use your voice. Find the fairness. Set your agenda. Create your bullet points and make sure you maintain your self-control and your sense of dignity and self-worth. Don't be afraid to use your voice. Don't let somebody else usurp your voice and take it from you. Win. The end. I know it's not that simple, okay? I was just being a little tongue-in-cheek, but I do want you to win. And I want you to think about, what does winning mean to me? And that losing, whatever that means to you, may have to be reconstructed in your mind. What is it to win the day? Sometimes you lose the battle, win the war. So I really want you to think critically and carefully about what winning means. Thank you.